Hello and welcome to the February 27th edition of This Week in South Carolina in Session. I'm Gavin Jackson, outside of the Statehouse here in Columbia. Well, House and Senate lawmakers kicked off the 8th week of the legislative session with a flurry of activity, if you can believe it or not. Over in the House, we saw lawmakers pass two major bills. One bill, the automatic stay bill, now heads to Governor Henry McMaster's desk for his signature. We have some more details about that and the public's ability to file lawsuits against developments and permits related to them. Also in the House, we saw lawmakers pass a bill to the Senate now that would require drivers to get vision checks every time they renew their license. In the Senate, we saw Senator Marlon Kimpson end his filibuster over a bill that loosens restrictions for poultry farms in the state. It was amended later, and he was the lone dissenting vote against that bill that now goes back to the House. Also, we saw in the Senate Judiciary subcommittee meeting today a bill S516, which we heard about last week, which would expedite gun background check reporting details from courts. Also, it would extend the background check time from 3 days to 5 days in the state. Now, that seems to be a little bit of a point of contention, but that bill is still working through the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee process. We have more details on that. S516 would require that courts report restraining orders, domestic violence, stalking orders, and other orders preventing a person from possessing a firearm to the State Law Enforcement Division within 48 hours of a ruling on the matter. Other criminal decisions will be required to be transmitted to SLED within 10 days. The current law is 30 days. The bill also provides an additional 2 days for background checks to take place before a gun can be sold. The proposed 5-day background check has become a sticking point among Democrats on the Judiciary panel.
But this is the beginning. And I know that there are many who will say that it doesn't go far enough, it doesn't do exactly what they want it to do, but it does something. We owe it to our fallen colleagues, our friends, we owe it to our future generations to begin to discuss about the various gun laws that can be affected and that can be impacted. So I applaud you for what you are doing, and I would hopefully and continuously pray that you would continue to move the needle forward. There is a lot of work that has to be done, and I know that this is just the beginning. And I would hope and pray that as we continue to work together, that we will begin to make not only our communities much safer, our churches much safer, our schools much safer, because realistically, the only thing that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men and women to sit around and do nothing. And I believe that we are about to do something. So I would encourage you to have the courage to continue to push, not only with this bill, but prayerfully other.
A perfect solution. And so I agree with you that 5 is better than 3, but I don't want to give this assembly a pass. And so a pass is just to increase it. Do you know what a good number is, or where the number 5 came from?
The 5, I guess, was a compromise that was actually reached. Is that correct in that regard?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm just curious as to what happened, because in the committee that we went forward, that we had down in Charleston and others, that number is not a compromise from 28. It's not a compromise up from 3. It's just a random number.
Do you know whether or not any of the bills that the senator from Darlington mentioned have received bipartisan support in the Senate?
From what I understand, what I have tracked, I haven't heard of anything else that has received any type of bipartisan support.
Do you know whether any of the bills that the senator from Darlington has mentioned have received even a hearing in the Senate?
Not again to my knowledge.
And just so I'm clear, you support 516 because it is a step to reforming our state's gun laws. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Representatives for counties and clerk of court said that 48-hour requirement to report to SLED certain offenses is going to be kind of difficult for several counties that don't have the resources to turn around such reporting so quickly. They proposed instead a 5-day reporting requirement and a 10-day reporting requirement. Those could be reflected in forthcoming amendments as we continue to see this bill work its way through the subcommittee process. Now, outside the Statehouse today, we saw about 200 people, several hundred, I should say, representing the interests of gun reform legislation. We heard from lawmakers, we heard from a teacher, and from students about what they want to see done up here at the Statehouse.
We need your help to find this compromise. somewhere in the middle, a person in power needs to give just a little bit, to change just a little bit. We need to make a stand and stop this ever-enclosing circle. We need common sense and a common belief that we can overcome violence in our schools. We do not want to teach in militarized camps, and we do not want to carry guns.
Over in the House, lawmakers passed S-105 to Governor McMaster's desk for his signature. That bill would require that any challenge to a permit for a development, I should say, be resolved within 90 days and that a hearing be heard in a court within 30 days. Now, this is a change from current law, which lets those matters kind of go on for indefinitely. We got some more details from Representative Russell Fry on the House floor.
Overall, why I think this bill is needed is that it prevents public funds and certainly private funds saving the taxpayers millions of dollars by reforming the way that we challenge the permitting process. And I'm going to explain the permitting process here shortly. The bill does not eliminate the automatic stay. I think as a conservative, I would say that governments make mistakes and we need to have the ability to challenge permits, but it should not be unfettered and it should not be unlimited to where you hold up projects, you hold up roads, you hold up developments for baseless accusations. This allows you to get in front of a judge a lot more quickly.
How would you respond to people who see the stay and either granting a stay or lifting a stay as an opportunity, as one of the tools in their toolkit, shall we say, when we're talking about environmental issues and wetlands, for example? How would you respond to people who feel that maybe what we're doing here
that bill would require that any challenge to a development, a permit for a development, I should say, be resolved within 90 days and that a hearing be heard in a court within 30 days. Now, this is a change from current law, which lets those
I don't think that it limits it at all. I think it actually gets you in front of, if you have a meritorious challenge, it actually gets you in front of a judge more quickly. And that
House lawmakers also sent the Senate a bill that requires drivers to pass vision tests when they renew their licenses. The requirement was dropped last year when the Real ID bill became law due to potential bureaucratic headaches.
It also has in there that this will take effect on October 1st, 2019. Currently, if you are a new licensee in South Carolina, your vision has to be screened. This would reinstate vision screening upon renewal, but it would take effect October 1st, 2019. Over 1 million South Carolinians, myself included, probably some folks in here, have submitted their required documents to get Real ID. So those 1.1 million South Carolinians were told by DMV, based upon the law as it exists, that if you bring in your required documents, when we roll out Real ID, you can get it online. You will not have to come back into DMV. So we've made a representation to those people, and this is an attempt to accommodate those folks.
And Senator Kimpson wrapped up his filibuster over the poultry farm bill, H3929. We've also called it the chicken farm bill. The bill deals with loosening regulations on poultry farms in the state, does not deal with pig farms. A little bit more of a contentious farming operation there, which we've all seen in the past. However, he was the lone dissenting vote in the 41-1 vote that now sends the bill that loosens regulations on these farming operations back to the House, where they'll have to concur with the Senate amendments, which will likely happen. Wasn't too contentious of an amendment there in the House, in the Senate today. Some more details from Senator Kimpson today in the Senate.
The reason I was up here at this podium, at this well, in this august body, was I was advocating for those who don't have lobbyists, for those rural citizens who right now have an opportunity to appeal the granting of a permit but are losing that appeal.
And we'll know which one of 5 GOP contenders will be replacing former Representative Rick Quinn's District 69 seat out of Lexington County. There's a special primary closing tonight at 7 p.m. with 5 contenders, and if none of them get the majority of the vote this evening, then the 2 top vote getters will go on to a March 13th special primary runoff. Now, if someone does win outright tonight, and whoever wins that March 13th primary runoff, if there is one, will go on to a May 1st special election. Now, there's no opposition from any other party, so that person, whoever wins, will become essentially the de facto replacement for Representative Rick Quinn's seat. Quinn vacated that seat in December after pleading guilty to a misconduct in office charge as a result of the ongoing Statehouse investigation probe. Now, tomorrow, Wednesday, in the Statehouse, we'll see Supreme Court Chief Justice, South Carolina Supreme Court Chief Justice Donald Beatty give his annual State of the Judiciary address before a joint assembly of lawmakers at noon. And stick with SCTV throughout the 2018 legislative session as we bring you video updates every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of what happened up here at the Statehouse on SCTV's YouTube page, our Facebook page, and my Twitter account, Gavin Jackson, live at 7 p.m. on each of those days. And you can also find the South Carolina Statehouse Daybook on scetv.org on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That gives you agendas, meeting schedules, also the top state news headlines as well. I'm Gavin Jackson, out here at the Statehouse in Columbia.